3 things that could kill you while you sleep and how to prevent them. Most people think dying in your sleep sounds peaceful, almost enviable. You close your eyes, drift off, and simply don't wake up. That's what people imagine. But after 60, what's actually happening in those quiet hours is anything but peaceful. Your body is running its most dangerous shifts while you have no idea. No symptoms to notice, no pain to wake you, no chance to call for help. And here's what shocks most people when I walk them through this. It's not one big dramatic event that takes people in the night. It's 3 very specific, very predictable patterns quietly doing their damage in the dark. Tonight, I'm going to show you all 3, what they are, how they build while you sleep, and exactly what you can do to stop them. The first threat, your heart's electrical system. The heart is one of the most extraordinary machines in the known universe. Without any conscious instruction from you, it beats roughly 100,000 times a day every single day, from the moment you're born until the moment you die. It doesn't ask for thanks, it doesn't take a break, it just keeps going. But here's what most people don't realize. The heart doesn't just pump, it also runs on electricity. Every heartbeat is triggered by an electrical signal that travels through your heart in a precise, choreographed sequence. When that signal fires correctly, the heart contracts in the right order. First the upper chambers, then the lower chambers, and blood moves exactly as it should. But when that electrical signal goes wrong, everything can unravel very quickly. The most dangerous version of this is called ventricular fibrillation. It sounds technical, but the concept is simple. Instead of beating in a strong, coordinated rhythm, the lower chambers of the heart start quivering chaotically, like a bag of wriggling worms, rather than a powerful, purposeful pump. When that happens, the heart stops moving blood effectively. The brain is starved of oxygen within seconds, and if nothing intervenes, a person can be dead within minutes. Now, why does this happen more at night? Partly because of the body's natural rhythms. In the early morning hours, typically between 2 and 6 in the morning, certain hormones shift, blood pressure changes, and the nervous system transitions between deep sleep stages. These fluctuations put stress on the heart. For someone whose heart is already under strain, this is when the system is most vulnerable to short-circuiting. What puts the heart under strain in the first place? High blood pressure is at the top of the list. When blood pressure is consistently elevated, the heart has to work harder to push blood through narrowed, stiffer vessels. Over time, the heart muscle thickens and becomes less flexible. The electrical pathways get disrupted. The risk of a dangerous arrhythmia goes up. Then there's blood sugar. People with poorly controlled diabetes, or even with prediabetes, a condition millions of people don't know they have, suffer gradual damage to the nerves and blood vessels that supply the heart. This damage is silent. It accumulates over years, and then one night, without warning, the bill comes due. What can you do? Quite a lot, actually. Get your blood pressure checked regularly, not just when you feel bad, but routinely as part of how you care for yourself. If your doctor has prescribed medication for blood pressure, take it faithfully, even when you feel fine, because that's exactly the problem. High blood pressure doesn't hurt. It doesn't announce itself. It is sometimes called the silent killer for precisely this reason. Keep an eye on your diet, particularly salt intake. Sodium causes the body to retain fluid, which raises blood pressure. Processed foods, canned soups, fast food, they're loaded with it. You don't have to eat perfectly, but moving in the direction of more vegetables, more whole foods, and less packaged convenience food makes a genuine difference over time. And movement matters enormously. Even a 30-minute walk most days of the week has been shown to lower blood pressure, improve heart rhythm stability, and reduce the risk of cardiac events. You don't need a gym, you just need to move. The second threat, a stroke in the dark. The brain is even more oxygen hungry than the heart. While the heart can survive a few minutes without blood flow, the brain begins to die within seconds. Brain cells, neurons, are extraordinarily delicate. They don't regenerate the way skin or muscle does. When they're gone, they're gone. A stroke happens when the blood supply to part of the brain is cut off. There are two main types. The first is an ischemic stroke, which accounts for the vast majority, somewhere around 85% of all strokes. This is when a blood clot forms and blocks an artery supplying the brain. The second is a hemorrhagic stroke, which is less common but often more severe. This is when a blood vessel in the brain actually bursts and bleeds into the surrounding tissue. Both types can happen during sleep. And here's what makes a nocturnal stroke so particularly dangerous. There's no one watching. When a stroke happens during waking hours, people often notice symptoms: sudden confusion, weakness on one side of the body, slurred speech, vision problems, and they call for help. But when you're asleep, there's no alarm. You can't call for help. By the time you or someone else notices something is wrong, precious time has been lost. And in stroke treatment, time is brain. The longer the brain goes without blood flow, the more damage is done. High blood pressure is the single biggest risk factor for stroke. When blood pressure is too high for too long, it damages the walls of blood vessels throughout the body, including in the brain. Weakened vessel walls are more prone to developing clots and more prone to rupturing. Managing blood pressure is not just about protecting your heart, it is directly protecting your brain as well. Atrial fibrillation, commonly called AFib, is another major stroke risk that doesn't get enough attention. AFib is an irregular heart rhythm where the upper chambers of the heart quiver rather than beating properly. When this happens, blood can pool in those chambers and form clots. Those clots can travel up into the brain and cause a stroke. The insidious thing about AFib is that many people have it without any symptoms at all. They may feel occasional fluttering or palpitation, but dismiss it. Meanwhile, the risk is quietly building. Lifestyle factors play a significant role here too. Smoking directly damages blood vessel walls and dramatically increases stroke risk. Obesity, heavy alcohol consumption, and physical inactivity all contribute. Diabetes, again, raises stroke risk considerably because of the damage it does to blood vessels over time. The preventive steps overlap significantly with heart protection, which is not a coincidence. Your cardiovascular system is one interconnected system. What protects your heart also protects your brain. Blood pressure management, regular physical activity, a diet rich in whole foods and low in processed junk, not smoking, limiting alcohol, and if you have diabetes, taking it seriously, monitoring your blood sugar, taking your medication, working with your doctor to get it under control. One more thing worth emphasizing: if you ever wake up with sudden numbness or weakness on one side of your body, if your speech is suddenly strange, if your vision is blurred, or you have a severe headache unlike anything you felt before, don't wait. Don't convince yourself it'll pass. Get help immediately. The clot-busting treatments available for ischemic stroke only work within a narrow window of time. Every minute of delay is brain tissue lost that cannot be recovered. The third threat: when breathing stops. This one surprises people because it sounds dramatic, your breathing stopping while you sleep, and yet it is extraordinarily common, far more common than most people realize. It's called sleep apnea, and conservative estimates suggest that well over 1 billion people worldwide have some form of it. Most of them don't know. Here's what happens. During sleep, the muscles in your throat and airway naturally relax. In most people, the airway stays open enough for normal breathing, but in people with obstructive sleep apnea, the tissues at the back of the throat collapse inward and block the airway completely. Breathing stops, the body's oxygen levels begin to drop, and eventually, sometimes after 10 seconds, sometimes after a minute or more, the brain detects the emergency and jolts the person partially awake to gasp for air and restore breathing. This cycle can happen dozens or even hundreds of times per night. The person almost never fully wakes up, so they have no memory of it happening. They just know they're tired all the time. Their partner, if they have one, might report that they snore loudly and sometimes seem to stop breathing, then startle back awake. Many people dismiss this for years as just bad sleep or getting older, but what's actually happening is a slow, silent assault on the heart and brain. Every time breathing stops, oxygen levels in the blood drop. The brain sounds the alarm. Stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol surge through the body. Blood pressure spikes. The heart rate lurches. Night after night, this happens over and over again. The cumulative effect is devastating. People with untreated sleep apnea have dramatically higher rates of high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, heart failure, and dangerous heart rhythm abnormalities. The very things we were just discussing as standalone risks are themselves made far worse by sleep apnea. It doesn't just contribute to those conditions, it accelerates them. There's also a less common but even more concerning version called central sleep apnea, where the problem isn't a physical blockage of the airway, but a failure of the brain to send the correct signal to the breathing muscles. The heart stops, the brain doesn't fire the right command, and breathing simply doesn't happen. This type is more common in people with heart failure or neurological conditions and tends to be more serious. How do you know if you have sleep apnea? The classic signs are loud, disruptive snoring, particularly snoring that is interrupted by silences followed by a gasp or snort, waking up with headaches, feeling exhausted no matter how many hours you've slept, difficulty concentrating, mood changes, irritability, even depression. If any of this sounds familiar, speak to your doctor. A sleep study, which can now often be done at home with a simple monitoring device, can diagnose the condition definitively. Treatment for obstructive sleep apnea has come a long way. The gold standard is a device called a CPAP machine, which stands for Continuous Positive Airway Pressure. It's a mask you wear at night connected to a small machine that delivers a steady stream of pressurized air, just enough to keep the airway open. It sounds uncomfortable, and some people do need time to adjust to it, but for the people who stick with it, the results are transformative. Blood pressure improves, energy returns, heart function improves, the chronic stress on the cardiovascular system is lifted. For people with mild to moderate sleep apnea, there are also other options. Oral devices that reposition the jaw to keep the airway open, surgical options in some cases, and lifestyle changes that genuinely help. Losing weight, even a modest amount, can significantly reduce the severity of sleep apnea because excess weight around the neck and throat directly narrows the airway. Sleeping on your side rather than your back makes a meaningful difference for many people. Gravity pulls the throat tissues down and back when you're lying on your back, making obstruction much more likely. And avoiding alcohol in the hours before bed matters too, because alcohol relaxes the throat muscles even further, making the airway more likely to collapse. The thread that connects all three. If you look at all three of these threads, the heart stopping in the night, a stroke unfolding in the dark, and breathing repeatedly ceasing during sleep, you notice something. They are not separate, unrelated problems. They are part of the same story. High blood pressure runs through all three. Poor blood sugar control runs through all three. Physical inactivity, smoking, poor diet, obesity, these are common threads. And sleep apnea doesn't just stand alone as its own risk, it actively makes the other two worse. This means that the things you do to protect yourself are not a long, exhausting checklist. They are a small set of habits practiced consistently that pay dividends across every single one of these risks simultaneously. Know your numbers. Get your blood pressure checked. Get your blood sugar checked. If they're not where they should be, work with your doctor to bring them down, with medication if needed, yes, but also with the daily choices you make. Move your body. Eat real food more often than not. Don't smoke. Be honest with yourself about your sleep. If you're not waking up rested, if people have told you that you snore or stop breathing, take it seriously and get it evaluated. None of this is about living in fear. The whole point of knowing these things is the opposite of fear. It's empowerment. The night is supposed to be the time your body heals itself, restores itself, prepares for another day. For most people, it is exactly that. And for the people for whom it isn't, the good news is that with the right knowledge and the right care, it can be. So take this seriously, not anxiously, just seriously, because the habits that protect you while you sleep are the same ones that give you more life to live while you're awake.